I had a couple of inputs today that made me think about some stuff, about what I'm doing and the value of it and the path forward. And I want to talk through that a little bit. So quickly, the two inputs. One, I happened to see on, I think it was LinkedIn, somebody posted a quote from Clay Christensen, the professor from HBS who passed away. But having gone there and having just recently read his book, it kind of caught my eye. And the gist of it was that when he found out he had cancer and thought, he was going to die originally, he began to realize that all the impact he had made in the business world and helped companies kind of grow and develop and, get more revenue and all that became much less important to him. And what he started to realize is the most important metric was how much has he helped individuals? How has he touched other people? And for him, that was what really mattered. So that was one input. Second input was I was listening to Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk podcast, an older one, but she had Chelsea Handler on, and they were talking about white privilege. It wasn't too long, only about 25, 30 minutes, and it was good. It was a good conversation. It was interesting. Learned from it, obviously. And it struck me, though, as they were talking. So it was Jada Pinkett Smith, I think her mother, and then Chelsea Handler. They were having a really good conversation, but from my perspective, I started to see some limits of it, potentially, just my read on it. And not intentionally, not putting anybody down or anything like that, but these are just really hard things to talk about. They're sensitive, they're uncomfortable, right? You always have that dynamic, but I've mentioned this in a prior video. You have to be honest with yourself before you can be honest with other people. And I say that again, not condescendingly. Very few, if any of us, are truly honest with ourselves. Right? It's not something we're doing deliberately. It's not a knock on anybody. It's just really, really hard. And most people don't even recognize it, myself included. And I saw that playing out in the conversation a little bit. Not, again, in a bad way, just there could have been more. There could have been more benefit to come of it. And that's the place I'm coming from, right? The hypothesis is there might be more to be had here if you address a couple of those issues. And it's not to say by any means that I am a master of this or anything like that, but if nothing else, one of the things I've been trying to do over the last 7-8 years, and particularly over the last year that I've really honed in on it, is to try and get better at that, to try and get better at being honest with myself so I can be honest with other people. And when you're in a conversation like that and you're working through topics like that, to bring that Richard Feynman perspective of humility and curiosity and questioning and being ferociously open-minded but ferociously skeptical, with the objective being to get to a better place and to get to the truth. And how you need all of those things, that mathematical logic, that mental toughness to do that effectively. And my thought is, perhaps I could put those skills to some use, right? The hypothesis is, if I have improved in some incremental or some way around those areas, back to the Clayton Christensen point, how am I using that? What's the metric? How am I actually helping people with that, right? I'm making these videos, I'm writing, I'm doing things, I have thoughts, but there's this compulsion in me to say, what's it doing? Where's it going, right? Activity versus momentum. There's lots of activity, and I do believe there is some momentum. So what's the point? So I had a thought that I want to try and put that to use, particularly around the race topic, because it's such an important one. It's meaningful to me and people I care about, and I just think there's possibly benefit to be had there. I am not that narcissistic or naive or arrogant to think I have some unique ability to solve the race problem in America or the world, or even that I am better than other people, and if I can just get in there, then I'll make some improvements. It's not about that. It's not about trying to show off or anything like that. I mean that honestly, as honest as I can be with myself. What it's about is, if there's a chance that some of the skills I have, either that I've been pre-wired with or that I've just put in a lot of work to develop, if those skills can provide a benefit, I want them to do that. And I have to at least try, right? The worst thing I could do, and my subconscious would tell me to do, is to start to come with those things of, who do you think you are? What makes you think you could do this? You're going to get viewed negatively. That may all be true, right? It may be, but I don't think it is. And I've thought through it. And I do think there's a chance here. And it's a chance I'm willing to take on that. So what I'd like to do, I guess in closing, is what I'm talking to is I have some friends, some roommates that I went to undergrad with at Boston College, a number of who are Black. Who I reached out to, and I'm thinking about starting maybe a podcast, I don't know, but to have a a real, genuine, it has to be real and genuine conversation about this topic. And when I say real and genuine, I don't mean, superficially, like, hey, let's just talk about tough stuff and throw out these topics that seem interesting. It's not enough just to tee them up and to start the conversation. It's to try and be honest with ourselves so we can be honest with each other. And touch on the sensitive stuff, touch on the controversial stuff, not just because it is sensitive and controversial, because I think given the relationships we have, having been college roommates and still friends, and some of the work I've been doing, and some of the people, some of those roommates themselves and what they're naturally and the work they've done, some of it, I think we're uniquely positioned to have conversations like this that actually drive momentum, that actually move things forward, that let us uncover things and unlock things because we're willing to go into the mud. Right? We have the capability to do it. We have the relationship and the trust to do it. And I think it could become a 1 + 1 = 3 situation. And if there's a chance for that, it just feels like a chance that has to be taken. And that these skills can hopefully, and these things I've been trying to learn and trying to develop over so many years can be put to some use that has a real meaningful impact. So when I look back and look at a metric, maybe that's something where a lot of people can benefit from it. Or even if not a lot, if just a few, if even just us, right? We benefit, we become better people because of it. And then it kind of trickles down. That would be great too.